There are people who work diligently their entire lives and yet never truly prosper. They strive, they do everything they believe is right, but they remain trapped in the same recurring financial difficulties. This is not a coincidence. It is not bad luck. There is something actively blocking their prosperity. Many people think that to achieve wealth and abundance, they just need to earn more money. But the truth is, the problem is rarely about what comes into your bank account. The real problem is what is going out, what is silently draining your life, your energy, and your opportunities without you even realizing it. The Bible reveals powerful principles about financial success, but it also warns us about 5 specific sins that block your prosperity and keep you in a state of scarcity. The most alarming part is that the majority of people commit them without even being aware of it, and worse, they believe there is no solution, when in reality, eliminating them is the very first step to attracting true wealth. Today, I'm going to reveal what these 5 sins are and how to eliminate them once and for all. But I must warn you, some of them will surprise you because they appear so harmless on the surface. If you want to break cycles of stagnation and walk in the prosperity that God has for you, stay until the very end, because the final point could be the very thing that has been holding you back all this time. Before we begin, if you want to learn more about how to apply biblical principles to your personal finances, subscribe now and activate the notifications. This content could be the turning point you have been waiting for. The first sin, lust. Uncontrollable desire is one of the greatest traps that diverts people from their purpose and from true prosperity. This isn't just about momentary impulses. It's about destructive patterns that consume the mind, energy, and resources. Many people struggle in secret with habits that seem harmless at first, but end up stealing their clarity and their financial future. The worst part is that many don't even realize how much they are losing until it is far too late. One of the biggest dangers today is inappropriate content on the internet, a silent vice that has destroyed marriages, careers, and entire lives. Studies show that this type of content directly affects the brain, diminishing motivation and the ability to focus on long-term goals. Every minute invested in these habits is a minute stolen from building wealth, personal growth, and connection with God. It is no coincidence that people trapped in this web often experience a lack of purpose and financial difficulties. Time is one of the most valuable resources God gives us, and thousands wasted on these momentary pleasures. Hours that could be used to develop a new skill, build a business, or improve one's spiritual life end up consumed in an activity that only leaves emptiness and guilt. Without realizing it, many sacrifice opportunities for professional and personal growth simply because they are trapped in cycles of uncontrollable impulses. The story repeats itself time and time again. The man who jumps from relationship to relationship, seeking a satisfaction that never comes, ends up losing what is most valuable: his family, his emotional stability, and his future. How many marriages have been destroyed because someone could not control their desires? How many people have lost financial opportunities because their focus was on the wrong thing? The Bible and money are more connected than many believe, and a lack of control in this area can be a major barrier to financial success. A clear example of this is Samson, a man with a divine calling, incomparable strength, and a brilliant future. But his inability to master his desires led him to ruin. He allowed himself to be seduced by Delilah, who betrayed him, handing him over to his enemies. He lost his power, his dignity, and in the end, his life. His story is a stark warning to all those who believe they can play with sin without facing consequences, as told in Judges 16. And it's not just the Bible that warns us about this. Terry Crews, actor and former NFL player, confessed that his addiction to this type of content nearly destroyed his career and his marriage. He himself recognized that this habit made him feel empty and pulled him away from his true purposes. When he decided to break free from that cycle, his life was transformed. He recovered his family, his emotional stability, and was able to focus on his financial growth. His testimony proves that there is always a way out for those who are willing to make radical decisions. But this is not just about relationships, it is also about how the wealth mindset is affected. Every time a person falls into these habits, they weaken their ability to concentrate and their discipline, two elements essential for prosperity. A lack of self-control leads to impulsive decisions, and someone who cannot control themselves will hardly be able to control their finances. That is why the Bible is clear in Proverbs 28 verse 13. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. The key to overcoming this is not to struggle in silence. If this is a battle area in your life, do not keep the problem to yourself. Seek help. Surround yourself with people who will push you toward growth, and break with anything that prevents you from moving forward. Prosperity begins with self-mastery, and those who overcome these obstacles are the ones who finally experience the abundance that God has prepared for them. Now that you understand how this sin can be blocking your success, there is something more you need to discover. The Bible has specific principles to attract prosperity and build a solid financial life. In the playlist, Biblical Secret for Wealth, How to Earn Money with God's Principles, I reveal how to apply this knowledge in a practical way. Watch the playlist at the end of this video and discover what many are unaware of. The second sin, consumerism. Today's society has sold us a false idea of prosperity, having more, spending more, showing more. But do you really need everything you buy, or have you fallen into the trap of consumerism without realizing it? Money is a powerful tool, but when it is not handled with wisdom, it becomes a chain that binds us to scarcity. Many people live from paycheck to paycheck, not because they earn too little, but because they do not know how to manage what they have. Consumerism is not just about spending a lot of money. It is about living to spend, without building true wealth. Advertising bombards us with messages that make us believe that happiness is in the next purchase, in the latest phone model, or in a luxury vacation. But the reality is that those who spend everything they earn will never build a stable financial future. No matter how much money passes through their hands, if there is no control, they will always be in the same situation, working to pay bills instead of building financial freedom. An extreme case of this is that of Mike Tyson, who came to earn more than $400 million in his career. The problem? He had no control over his spending. Luxury cars, extravagant mansions, exotic animals, everything seemed to be within his reach until reality struck. He found himself without money, with gigantic debts, and with his financial empire in ruins. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't manage it well, you will lose it all. But this is not just a story of celebrities. Many live trapped in the same trap without even realizing it. The work to spend mentality is one of the reasons why so many people never achieve financial stability. They go into debt for unnecessary things, finance lifestyles they cannot maintain, and in the end, become slaves to their own desires. The Bible gives us a clear warning about this in Matthew 6 verses 19 to 20. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. True financial success is not in what you show, but in what you build. Those who manage their finances with intelligence not only prosper, but can bless others and fulfill their purpose without economic worries. Consumerism also affects the wealth mindset. A person who does not know how to manage their money will never be able to attract abundance, because wealth is not just a matter of how much you earn, but how you use what you already have. Biblical millionaires like Abraham and Solomon not only received blessings but knew how to multiply them. If you want to grow, you need to learn to differentiate between what is an investment and what is simply an emotional expense. The problem is that many confuse wealth with the appearance of wealth. What good is it to drive a luxury car if you're in debt up to your neck? What is the point of pretending to have a life you cannot sustain? True financial security does not come from having more, but from knowing how to manage what God has already placed in your hands. The financial mistakes, according to the Bible, are warnings we cannot ignore, because every financial decision impacts our future. Learning to manage money with wisdom is one of the keys to true prosperity. While others spend without control, you can make decisions that will lead you to a solid future. And remember this: those who live with financial discipline today will be the ones who enjoy true freedom tomorrow. The third sin, pride. Pride is a silent enemy that has destroyed empires, businesses, and families. It is an attitude that makes people believe they do not need to learn, improve, or listen to advice. Many fail not due to a lack of opportunities, but due to a lack of humility to recognize that they do not know everything. And here is the great trap: the more someone closes themselves off in their own pride, the harder it becomes for them to see the mistakes that are sinking them. Arrogance is one of the biggest blocks to prosperity because it prevents a person from growing. Those who think they already know everything stop learning, and when they stop learning, they stop advancing. The most successful people in the world, both in business and in faith, are those who maintain an attitude of constant learning. If you want to build true wealth, you need to develop the ability to receive correction and wisdom from others. One of the greatest examples of this is the former president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez. His pride and self-sufficiency led him to ignore economic warnings and to make decisions that collapsed the economy of an entire country. Instead of surrounding himself with experts and listening to advice, he preferred to impose his own ideas, which led millions into poverty. His story is a reminder that arrogance can destroy even those who seem most powerful. The Bible gives us a similar example with the Pharaoh of Egypt. Moses repeatedly warned him to let the people of Israel go, but his pride led him to defy God. His stubbornness brought plagues upon his nation, destroyed the Egyptian economy, and ended with him losing everything. His story is proof that arrogance not only alienates us from people, but also alienates us from the blessing of God. Proverbs 16 verse 18 warns us, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." This verse makes it clear that pride is not just an attitude problem, but a ticking time bomb that sooner or later explodes. Many have lost businesses, marriages, and opportunities simply because they did not want to listen or admit they were wrong. Pride also prevents people from being teachable, which blocks financial success. While some waste their time defending their own way of doing things, others are learning, adapting, and growing. The difference between those who advance and those who get left behind is not luck, but the ability to be corrected and to continue evolving. Humility is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strategies for achieving prosperity. The most influential people in the world seek mentors, read, train, and are willing to correct their course when necessary. If you think you don't need to learn anymore, that is the first sign that you are in danger. Those who conquer pride unlock new opportunities and grow in all areas of their lives. If God wants you to prosper, you need to be willing to receive instruction and correct whatever is necessary. True abundance comes not only to the most talented but to the wisest. The fourth sin, excessive alcohol. The problem has never been alcohol itself, but the abuse of it and the consequences it brings to the lives of those who lose control. What begins as a moment of enjoyment can slowly turn into a trap that drags a person into wrong decisions, damaged relationships, and lost opportunities. Many see excess as something harmless, but over time, it becomes a real obstacle to prosperity. It is not just about what is drunk, but what is lost in the process. Self-destruction never happens overnight, but in small habits that, over time, steal clarity and control over one's own life. A bad day turns into a drink into a habit, and by the time the person realizes it, they have developed a pattern of dependence. The problem is that the more this behavior is normalized, the harder it becomes to get out. And it affects not only health, but also emotional, professional, and financial stability. We have seen countless cases of talented people with great opportunities who have lost everything because they did not know how to set limits. A famous case is that of Diego Maradona, considered one of the best footballers in history. His talent was undeniable, but his lack of control over alcohol and other addictions ended up ruining his career, his image, and his personal life. In his prime, he had it all. In the end, he was surrounded by legal problems, scandals, and physical deterioration. But you don't have to be a football star to fall into this cycle. Many people work hard all week and then spend a significant part of their income on parties, drinks, and excesses. At first, it seems normal, but over time, they begin to notice that money is always missing, that productivity decreases, and that opportunities for growth stagnate. It is a cycle in which the person keeps repeating patterns without realizing that their life is trapped in a downward spiral. The Bible and money teach us that prosperity is linked to wisdom in our decisions. Ephesians 5 verse 18 says, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." This is not a meaningless restriction, but a life principle. God wants us to live with clarity, with self-control, and with the ability to make decisions that lead us to abundance. Everything that gets out of control ends up controlling us. When a person allows a habit to dominate their life, they cease to be the master of their own decisions. True prosperity is not only financial, but also mental, emotional, and spiritual. To grow in all areas, it is necessary to know when to say enough and take back control of one's life. Those who achieve this discover that their focus and their ability to reach their goals change radically. If you feel that any area of your life has been out of control, you are not alone. God has given you the ability to regain mastery over your decisions and walk into a better future. Do not let destructive habits rob you of the opportunity to experience the abundance He has for you. It is time to take a firm step towards true transformation. We have seen how God has restored lives and families through prayer. If you are facing difficulties in your finances, in your health, or in any other area of your life, leave us your request in the comments. We believe that God can work a miracle in your life, and we are here to support you in prayer. The fifth sin, laziness. When talking about barriers to prosperity, few people consider laziness as one of them. However, a lack of action and discipline has been responsible for more frustrated dreams than any other external factor. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how much knowledge you have. If you don't move, nothing will change. Many wait for the perfect moment to start, but the truth is that those who succeed do not wait. They act, even when they don't feel like it. One of the most dangerous lies is the belief that someday there will be more time or that in the future there will be fewer difficulties to begin. But the reality is that time never stops, and every day you spend procrastinating is another day further from the life you could be building. Opportunities do not wait for those who hesitate. They present themselves to those who are prepared and willing to seize them. In the parable of the talents, Jesus tells the story of a man who gave different amounts of money to his servants before leaving on a journey. 2 of them invested and multiplied what they received. But one, out of fear and laziness, simply buried his talent in the ground and did nothing with it. When the master returned, he strongly reprimanded the lazy servant and took away what he had, giving it to the one who had been diligent, as told in Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30. The lesson is clear: God does not reward inaction. This story is still real in our days. How many people have let opportunities pass by simply because they did not take action? How many have watched others grow while they continued to postpone their plans? Lost time is not recovered, and the future you dream of will only come if you are willing to work for it. The Bible is clear in Proverbs 6 verses 6 to 11 when it says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise." The smallest animals work without anyone forcing them because they understand that today's effort guarantees tomorrow's abundance. If we want to experience a true wealth mindset, we must learn from them and act without waiting for conditions to be perfect. Here is the truth that no one wants to hear: talent without effort is worthless. You can have great ideas, incredible dreams, and divine promises over your life, but if you do not move, you will never see results. The difference between those who achieve financial success and those who do not is not in luck, but in discipline and constant work. God blesses effort, consistency, and faithfulness in the small things. Now that we understand the importance of acting with diligence and determination, I want you to do something symbolic here in the comments. Write this prophetic declaration as an act of faith: my actions, aligned with God, lead me to prosperity. Write this phrase in the comments as a sign of commitment to yourself and to your future. Remember, writing it is not just a declaration, but a step to transform your mindset and walk towards what God has prepared for you. Now that you know the 5 sins that are blocking your prosperity, the question is, what are you going to do with this information? Knowing what prevents us from moving forward is useless if we do not make concrete decisions to change. God has already established principles of success in His Word, but He will not do for you what is your part to do. Every great transformation begins with a decision. Samson could have kept his strength if he had mastered his impulses. Mike Tyson could have secured his fortune if he had controlled his spending. Maradona could have extended his legacy if he had been wiser with his choices. But the past cannot be changed. What you can change is your future. If any of these points spoke to your heart, do not keep this just for yourself. Leave us your prayer request in the comments. We want to intercede for you and walk with you in this process of growth. You are not alone. God has called you to prosperity, and the first step is to align your life with His principles. Also, I want you to make a commitment here and now. Write in the comments, my actions, aligned with God, lead me to prosperity. This act of faith is not just symbolic, but a prophetic declaration about the future you are building. When you write and declare something, you begin to give it shape with your thoughts and actions. And if you want to learn how to apply these principles in a practical and profound way, I invite you to watch the playlist Biblical Secret for Wealth: How to Earn Money with God's Principles. There you will discover even more powerful strategies to transform your financial life according to the Bible. Do not miss this opportunity. The link will appear on the screen at the end of the video. If this message has impacted your life, do not keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. Give it a like and subscribe to receive more teachings on how to apply biblical wisdom in your finances. May God bless you in all areas of your life and guide you in every step towards prosperity.